this is on, and you can hold it, or?
I'm trying to make, does that make any difference?
No.
Okay. I'm trying to make sure I don't have any lettuce on my teeth or anything like that, yeah. You know, I am the one that ran into Earl. Earl came while I was directing the Beauty and the Beast. And so he invited me to speak here, and I'm so pleased. First of all, I want to thank you for all of the work you do in our community. It really means a lot to me, and I love the intersection that you have at our schools so that it gives a footing, a foundation for our kids to be community service minded, and I appreciate that. But as soon as I got word from Earl that I had a date on the calendar, I needed to talk to him. Because Hilda is the foundation of our program. She started working there almost a decade ago.
8 years ago in the theater program.
In the theater program. And she heads up the academic side. So I'm going to turn the first part of the presentation over to Hilda.
Thank you.
Hilda Beltran.
Yeah, and thank you again for having us. And that was actually such a beautiful ritual and I've never been at a Kiwanis meeting before. And it was so lovely to see you guys share and celebrate what's positive in your lives and what's important. And so thank you for that. That actually moved me a lot.
Get her a membership form.
There we go. So, as Pat mentioned, there are three aspects, or I'd like to be clear. There are three aspects to our program as a whole. If you look at it in its entirety, there is the academic elective aspect, and I'm a teacher at RHS. I teach English 3/4 of my time. I teach the AP program, and I also teach the other quarter of my time is spent in the academic electives for theater. There is the after-school program, and Pat is the producing artistic director of that program. And then there is thespian troupe, number 3563, and I am the troupe director, and we're going to tell you about all of those aspects today. Hang on, let's go back one. Okay. Right there. Okay. So I'll talk, currently we have three academic classes. One is the Foundations of Theater class, and this is really where students first test the waters, so to speak. And it is a big deal for students sometimes to join this class. Sometimes they're passionate and they've been waiting for a theater class since they were in 6th grade or 2nd grade. Others are a little bit uncertain, and they feel that there might be something here for them that will break them out of their shell. So there's a wide diversity of students who come into that class, and they are looking for different things. Some of them know what theater's all about and they can't wait, and some of them are just looking for a little bit of confidence and to stretch outside of the boundaries that they put on themselves. We work on a lot of ensemble work. We introduce students to all aspects of theater technology. That would be sound, lights, costumes, makeup. We do improvisational theater. We have a kind of a low-risk activity that doubles as a fundraiser, our haunted house. And we introduce students to sort of low-stress aspects of production. I cannot overstate what a big deal it is for some students in their life to come out and in front of their peers and their classmates act or try something different. It's huge. There are national core standards for the arts that the Theater Foundations class and all the other classes I'll talk about conform to. And these are creativity, production, ensemble work. These are all of the life skills that are essential and that employers say they want in 21st century students. And they're all in this class, okay? And students who have, the other thing about theater in general is this a hybrid art. So if students are great at computers, there is a place for them. If students are tinkerers, there is a place for them. If they are in CTE in their construction, there is a place for them and a need for them. There is a way of honoring so many different aspects of students' personality that are not just the jazz hands type. Okay, so anyway, this and all classes conform to a national set of theater arts standards. We also touch on theater history and cultural aspects of theater as well. We also have what's called Theater Lab, and it is sort of the next step for students, and it welcomes both beginners and advanced students in it. Students in this class, it's sort of like advanced beginners, let's say, and students can repeat this class for credit. We work on scene work, monologue work. We do devised theater pieces, which that means that basically the students may have a theme or a work of art, and they devise a piece out of that. And we also do student-directed plays. This year, we are doing a set of plays called Bullying Collection, which are 10-minute plays, and students will, the older, more advanced students will direct the newer students within the context of that class. They're 10-minute plays, so what we're going to do is have these, have scheduled lunch periods on Wednesdays where students from the broader community are invited to come in and see the play, and as you guys know, an essential theme that, that we need to address.
I didn't know that, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just decided that. Okay, all right. There is also an advanced theater class that has been in existence for, will be our second year, and I felt pretty strongly about this class because I had students repeating my electives, but they were in football, or they had transportation issues, or they had babysitting issues, or they worked, because as you guys know, many of our students are spending time bringing food onto the table for their families. Okay, those students too are children, you know, and they want to express. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You guys started this with me. All right. And
We
they
have
don't
homeless kids.
They
in our
don't.
program.
Yeah. The kids who are couch surfing, they don't have the opportunity or the support necessarily, and some of them just are overly active. They're in leadership and they're in football, and they're overcommitted. You know, and they don't have that opportunity to develop that aspect of their life. So we wanted to have an opportunity for them to do so. We had a fantastic production last year of Sense and Sensibility, where we kind of created a black box theater on our stage. And and this year we're going to produce a version of Homer's Odyssey. So, and with that, I will leave it. So this is what happens during the daytime, so that we reach all students regardless of their ability to commit after school. And with that, I leave it over to Pat, because the after school program is really that community connection, and she's so good at this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you know, you love, you think of school as the place where you learn, and we all hope that that is the meat of school, but I think that some of the greatest memories we take back with us are the memories of the extracurricular things that we've done, like football and the prom and theater. The kids have so much fun. I just love having them come. They're already contacting me about trying out for this year's play. I love the enthusiasm. I feel so lucky to be part of their lives at this time. And so some of the after-school productions we've done since I've been there. Does anyone recognize this? Beauty and the Beast. Up there, the Diary of Anne Frank, and last year we also did the Pink Panther. So relationships are really important to me. I think that theater does a lot of things well, but I think relationships are really important. And so I've always had a plan, a hope beyond whatever the play is, for how it's going to relate to the community or make a relationship of some sort. And in this play, we had, in the Beauty and the Beast, we had a really strong connection, especially with middle school students. And I love this picture because this is our Belle, and these two girls here are students that we invited to be part of the production from the middle schools. And that turned out to be such a wonderful thing, because those kids really looked up to, and our high school members mentored them. And then beyond that, we invited elementary school kids to see a preview of the show. God, they were so cute. And one little girl came up to Belle and said, "Can I live with you and the prince?" So they become their, idols, and our kids loved that too. They didn't know that. The Pink Panther was a great connection with our athletes because it's just fun. You guys know Pink Panther. He's just crazy, it's just slapstick humor. And our athletic director decided to award or reward his athletes by buying out a show. And so he bought out a show which brought athletes into our auditorium. He bought it for their athletes, the coaches, their families, and it brought those people into the auditorium. And frankly, those guys are so busy doing what they're doing, they quite often don't come and see the shows. Well, they came and they were laughing, and that created a wonderful connection between the theater kids and the athletes, which sometimes they don't always come together. This was my favorite production of the 4 I've done so far. My goal in this production was especially for the cast to make a connection with each other and a connection in history, but especially to the person Anne Frank. Because Anne Frank was their age at the time she went through what she was doing. And what she wrote at that time had such an impact on so many generations after her. I wanted these kids to connect with the fact that they have a voice too, and they have something to say that's valuable. And we journaled. We left 15 minutes of every rehearsal to journal over a question. Like, one of the questions that I asked was, do you think Anne Frank's story would have had the same impact if she hadn't died? And so they kind of thought through that question, and each of them responded to that and gave them another question. Do you think that you're heard even though you're a teenager? Do you think you should be heard? Do you think you deserve to be heard? One of the kids, Jaden, said, well, frankly, we're pretty stupid. You know? Which I said, you know, I appreciate the fact that you realize that other people have more experience than you do. I mean, and experience isn't the only credible basis for being heard, but I thought that was valuable. And this one was the first production that we did, and I really wanted to connect with the veteran community. It's a Pearl Harbor Christmas. It was a radio show that was about the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and it was the 75th anniversary of the bombing of Pearl Harbor. And I wanted these kids to connect with the history, and I wanted them to connect with veterans. This is us preparing to walk in the Veterans Day Parade. And the thing was, the epic fail of this was the snow that year. And we had to cancel so many of our shows, and even the shows that we did have were rather treacherous. So it didn't have the connection that we wanted to, but the veterans came and spoke in our classrooms. These kids did talk to veterans. They heard their stories, because Pearl Harbor Christmas is based on stories of, you know, stories of real people who lived during that time. So those are that is the seasons, those are the seasons that we had in the past. And I want to demonstrate for you what our show is going to be coming up this fall. Can anyone tell me?
Turn around.
Oh, I have to turn around? The people who said turn around get a prize, yes. We're going to be doing You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. We also have this wonderful thing that we call 24/7. I'm going to hand these out, or maybe you guys can just pass them around. Yeah, there you go. I'll give you some. And 24/7 comes up in September, and this is 7 plays from page to stage in 24 hours. That's where this 24/7 comes in. So we have 7 students start writing plays after school on Friday night. Then we have 7 directors come at 6 o'clock in the morning. Yes, high school students come in at 6 o'clock in the morning, and they start preparing. Then the cast and the crew come in at 8 o'clock, and in 24 hours, they will have produced 7 plays. And it's a wonderful, you know, total immersion into theater for some people who can't always be part of it. And this year we're inviting RPA and Ridgeview to come with us, so it's going to be really fun. Then we're doing You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown at the end of October, the last weekend of October, the first week of November. I am choosing this one because we made such a wonderful connection with the elementary students in with your Beauty and the Beast. This one is going to be good that way too. We're going to invite students for a preview for that, and we're also going to take it to the Early Learning Center and perform for them. And then Arsenic and Old Lace, you know, a couple of old ladies benevolently killing people and burying them in the basement. It is so hilarious. I'm reading it, and I'm reading it in bed at night. Still, I mean, I just kind of read a few pages, and I'm having to hold myself from laughing so that I don't wake my husband up. So it's going to be really fun. Okay.
All right, and then the last, so we've talked about the academic program, which often kind of, it is, in a sense, it's sort of an outreach program. Students test the waters, and hopefully they end up, well, applying it somewhere in their lives and perhaps joining the after-school program. And the last thing we want to talk to you about is the connection with the International Thespian Society.
Oh, you missed, I mean, this is our wonderful, oh,
What?
you just passed Olivia.
Yeah, I haven't done that.
No, you passed it.
I know, I accidentally hit it twice, but I was heading there. Okay, so International Thespian Society, we are troop number 3563. And there are multiple events over the year. There's a leadership camp that I just came back to with 5 students that was absolutely phenomenal. It was incredible for theater students to see themselves with a specialized training in leadership. How are theater leaders different and the same from the ASB leadership program? We do happen to have a lot of crossover, but there's also sort of that special mission that what we do as theater practitioners is really address what keeps us human, and it's something just a little bit, it's deeper in a very different way. You've seen from the choice of material that Pat's been covered. All right, International Thespian Society has, so the leadership camp, we have an improv festival where students travel to that, and they're from schools from all over the state. The 3 big events, though, are regionals, state, and national. So here's a picture of Olivia Duff winning her regional finalist award for her monologue. She presented 2 monologues and was in the top 20% of the, I think there were probably, in solo performance, it's the largest category. They have over 100 students competing in that. The state festival is in, regionals is in February. The state festival is in April. And you have to bring a workshop or a 1-act. So this was 2 years ago. Our students brought an anti-bullying workshop where they used scenarios, and it was very interactive with the audience, and you would kind of like go through something and then you would like freeze, and then you would ask the audience to come in and replay the scene and kind of do it differently. So did a workshop where we were teaching other students how to bring that into our schools. We also, at our school, did that with our health, our freshman health classes, and we continue to do that, and it's been pretty neat for us. This year in state, instead of bringing a workshop, we had 2 students present a play. The play was called, it was a 10-act play, minute play called The Field, and they missed going to nationals by 1 point, which was kind of a shame, but they were doing great. And then nationals, we have never attended nationals. It's about $1,500 a student. RPA happens to go every year. I don't think Ridgeview has ever, and that happens to be because the school has an ethos where the theater program is front and center and has a strong reputation, and it just builds upon itself.
RPA doesn't have athletics, so theater is sort of their athletics in a way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Nationals,
Okay, we have never attended nationals, and it's a personal goal of mine because they have scholarship opportunities. Students come from 47 different states. I think there's usually about 800 students that are there, and it's incredible. Now, our state event, which is in April of every year, has 1,200 students, and I cannot tell you what it's like to have 1,200. theater students in an audience together, and there are main stage shows, so you can kind of compete. For example, Charlie Brown might call somebody from Oregon State Thespians and say, please come adjudicate our show. We would like to present at the main stage. And then we would get feedback form from them, and then you would have that opportunity. So there are just a ton of opportunities that go beyond what is available at the school. And it's an incredible organization. Students become capital T thespians by earning honor points in theater, okay? 10 points represents 10 hours of work, yes. So it's 100 points, or it's 100 hours or 10 points to become an inducted thespian. We have a ceremony at the end of the year, and it really means a lot to those students to be part of an international honor society that has over 2 million members since 1929. Okay, so last slide is some needs and requests that we've long had that we wanted to share with you, and it's just a little bit of a visual. Pat mentioned that 24/7 we are inviting to our stage, to our theater, our other fellow compatriots at Ridgeview and at RPA. And I love our theater, but it has been neglected, okay, and it has not been changed much in 50 years. So these are a few images of the theater that we are inviting our community into every time we do a play. Okay. This is a flooring that was actually, it's only 2 years old, and it was replaced in its fir plywood. It's not an appropriate, it has not been abused. Okay, what happens on a theater is set pieces move on and off. That is what the floor needs to be made for, and plywood is not the right material for that, but that was what was put in. It should be masonite. This would be, it can take a beating. Masonite's about, I think, $27 a 4x8 sheet, and we have about 800 square feet of flooring. That would be nice because every time we do a show, without abusing it, just by doing what has to happen in a theater, this is what happens. Now, you can't invite a ballet troupe in here on flooring that's in this condition. So the school wants to try to be inviting to our own community, other groups, but really is not in this area, not in a condition to do so. This is the effort to replace one of probably 10 large rips in the grand drape. Okay, and so.
Zip
Duct
ties.
tape and zip ties. And this is literally, I took these photographs yesterday. Okay, all right. These are orange chairs in a theater that otherwise has red chairs. Okay.
And probably about 1% of those is broken.
Yeah. Yeah, so they didn't, so the auditorium was not part of the last bond, in fact, very
but
little
it
on
is
that.
part of this upcoming now.
In kind of vague terms, there is a, yes, it's sort of, there's sort of like, and other things we can do with that money, kind of like, and they say, oh, that's where the theater's coming in, you know, so. Anyway, so this is where we would love to have the students, they put hours, some students live in this space, okay, and it means a lot to them when the community comes in, and it means a lot to them to really put forth their best, okay, and they are doing that work, and I think I'm so proud of them, and these are just, we could go on, you know, on and on about the gazillion needs, but these are some that I thought we would share with you.
Yeah.
Pat?
Well, I just want to open it up for questions. I think we've really spent a lot of your time.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, go ahead, Earl.
Could you give us some kind of numbers on the three items up there you think you could use some help with?
Yeah, I think, I'm not really good at math, but I did so.
We thought the flooring might be about $800 in
$800
materials, and the school would
It's
probably.
about 800 square feet.
Yeah. Oh, did you say 800 square feet? Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. I thought we, and then.
No, I'm dividing.
Yeah, so we're trying to figure out how many panels. I went to, they're suggesting MDF. Any construction people in here think that would be a good idea? MDF,
Well,
it's like
standard,
protect, it's like the
recommended by
pressed particle board,
theater
yeah.
director.
And the curtains, the bid for that
They're
is
big.
$35,000.
Did you look that up?
I got it today,
You got
this
it.
morning.
Okay.
Let me tell you what happened before.
We've tried, I mean, we have tried, you know, and I
Oh.
tried sewing them to make them look nice too, you know. And the other thing is, you can almost, like, it's, at this point, this is a little bit of an exaggeration, but you can almost pull it apart and create you know, with your two hands and create a tear in it at this point. It's really, really not much.
So one of the things that came with this bid, we asked for a bid from Jeremy, our head custodian, and he sent me this letter. And when this was built about 60 years ago, they anticipated, well, 60 years does not seem right. I thought this was built in the 70s.
48 years.
Yeah, thank you, yeah. I don't know where the word 60 is in here, so,
Maybe designed in the 60s.
I don't know. But it had intended to have like the whole fly system, you know?
That's not.
So what we have right now are these lights up here, and we have teenagers climbing on ladders to go up to the lights to, you know, and these are old lights, you know, and so what they have over at Ridgeview, which is the way it should be, is the lights are on a fly system and they're brought down, so you adjust, you change the gels on the lights there where it's safe, and then you send them back up, you know.
And the last time I looked that up, that was $50,000 to $80,000 to adjust that. So
I think that there's a bid on that.
Let me work on
Motorized dealer cosmopolitan project, oh no, we've got that. Yeah, it's $120,000 for a fly system, $120,000. $35,000 for these curtains. Let me tell you what happened just before we were doing Pink Panther. All of a sudden, I'm having a rehearsal and the principal comes in, he says, I'm gonna have to clear you out of here. I go, okay. Yes, we had somebody come in here and look, and we found out that the hardware that they have the curtains hanging on is so broken down that it could fall at any minute, which would be dangerous. And Hilda and I are going like, we take those things, you know, and it was like, we had no idea. So all of the curtains were taken down, and they had to rebuild the hardware, and our guy in welding rebuilt the hardware. It was like the night before we opened that we finally got the curtains back up again, you know. So, yeah, and those curtains, well, what the advantage of that is that those curtains had holes in them like as big as my hand, and the lights backstage would just shine through. They looked awful. But while they were down, I took them to a dry cleaner, and I think they gave us a sweet deal. For about $200, they cleaned and patched all of those curtains for us. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
I remembered one other thing that that you and I discussed, and I didn't get a photograph up here for it, but our theater also has some ADA access issues.
Oh.
And let me, how many of you have been in our theater? And I know Dan has, because his daughter was a thespian, and, okay, all right, so there's no ramps, everything is a step. So as you step from the back of the theater into the theater, there's about a 4-inch step. What this means is that when we have people with mobility issues, and this again, it just breaks my heart, their spots are always in the back of the theater, which is symbolically inappropriate and heartbreaking, you know, and that's, and that we did do, we made an application to Lowe's last year that we, you know, that didn't make it, you know, we were trying to get a grant, and we might retry that grant again. I don't know why I never got feedback as to why that didn't do, but that would be nice if we could get some kind of ramp formation. I think we do have some papers where we had an architect come in and give a bid for that, but, you know, so I just wanted to throw that in
Yeah.
storage.
Well, you know, the play that we tried to open up to veterans, that was one of the things that really I felt bad for, a World War II veteran who had
please
been
come into
taken-
our theater, but sit in the back.
Yeah, and you know, for a veteran who was hard of hearing and everything, anyway. I'm taking it that there no more time for more questions, right?
A quick one?
One more.
Yes, go
How
ahead.
many students a year go through the program? What's your average?
30?
Oh, way more than that.
Okay.
Okay, so I have, in my 3 classes, all 3 classes have, the advanced one has 25, but the other 2 have 35, and there's actually a wait because I had them stop at 35. I said I can't, you know, they're all in too many different spaces. So those are, and that's grown over the years. And I would think, I don't know, I think it's more that, I think probably you add the 30 that you're thinking of.
Yeah,
too,
right,
so
right,
There's a lot, there's a
exactly.
little bit of overlap.
Yeah,
I would say
yeah.
anywhere from 50 to 80.
It's so heartwarming to see what happens to these kids from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Not only the relationships that they build with each other, but the confidence that they have in themselves. It's really an honor to be part of their lives. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
guys so much.
Appreciate your enthusiasm.
Mhm.